In order to make a good review video, there's 3 key things you must do. Number 1, use the phone. Don't just open it, use other people's opinions, and then post a video. Actually use the device. Number 2, compare it. What else is available, both globally and non-globally? And number 3, think about the value. What value can this phone bring any of the customers or your viewers that their current phone can't? So welcome to my OnePlus Open / Oppo Find N3 review. Let's go. So, point number 1, own the device, use the device. I've had the OnePlus Open I had the OnePlus Open for around about 10 days of daily driver use. I then switched from the OnePlus Open to the Oppo Find N3 Collector's Edition, one of the best looking phones in my opinion ever. So all in all, because they're basically the same phone, it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks of daily driving the OnePlus Open. And I can tell you that through that extensive usage, I have been blown away by the first, and it is the first generation foldable phone from OnePlus. How they've integrated the software, the multitasking, the stylus support, the customization, how well it works with Android 13, soon to be 14. OnePlus have clearly spent a lot of time refining the software and the hardware. Now, that's not to say that my experience, and I know other people's experience with particularly some of the hardware, hasn't been seamless. So just to call it out, I am aware that quite a few people, still to me not like catastrophic numbers, but quite a few people have had lens mist, essentially condensation buildup within the huge camera ring. I have not experienced that, but it's important that I mention. And another thing that's been mentioned, however, this is kind of isolated to MKBHD, and then I do believe, hence why I made the point, this isn't people's personal experience when they talk about dead pixels. This is people jumping on that MKBHD bandwagon. In my experience, I have had 0 software or hardware issues, and it is my review. So now we've talked about the potential issues, let's talk about all the plus points about the OnePlus Open's hardware. Well, for me, and I've said many times, the 6.3-inch outer screen with that 20:9 aspect ratio is basically the perfect form factor for, I believe, 90% of foldable phone users. For me personally, and you all know this, I actually still rock a Google Pixel Fold because I prefer the slightly wider aspect ratio on the outer cover screen. But trust me, don't get twisted, the ideal one for most people is the OnePlus Open with its more phone-like outer screen. So when you're watching content, using it on a daily basis, it's going to feel most like a phone. Now when you unfold the device and use the inner screen, it's one of the largest screens. You've got the Xiaomi's and the Vivos of the world out there with 8 inches. This is like 7.9, 7.86, something like that. And it's perfect. Both screens are unbelievably bright at 2800 nits. Both screens go from 10 to 120 hertz. Actually, the inner screen goes from 1 hertz all the way up to 120 hertz. And that all helps with battery life and an overall smoothness throughout every area of this device. Now, continuing with the hardware, I personally wear headphones most of the time. Bluetooth 5.3 connectivity has never failed me. If you do find yourself in a pinch or you're doing the average dad shower test every morning, I'll either listen to a podcast or some music, and I obviously won't wear headphones in a shower, so I use a phone. And until the OnePlus Open came along, the iPhone 14 and 15 Pro Max were the most reliable for me to actually hear over the noise of the shower. Well, the OnePlus for me actually takes the crown as the best speakers on any smartphone I have personally used and tested. So fair play to OnePlus for incorporating that. Now, I know the Oppo Find N2 didn't have that, so all these things I'm talking about are actually upgrades on the Oppo Find N2. So if you're watching this with one of those N2s thinking, maybe I should upgrade, I would say yes. It's not often I'd recommend from one iteration to the next to go upgrade. I normally say wait 2 years, but with the N2 to the N3, it's a huge giant leap in terms of form factor, software, multitasking, speakers. Yeah, it's fairly huge jump. Now, as far as all the other internal hardware specs, such as chip, 8 Gen 2, until 2 weeks ago, flagship, well, it's still a flagship, but the 8 Gen 3 is now available on some devices. It's UFS 4.0 storage, it's DDR5X RAM, 512 gigabytes included in both OnePlus models in that green or black color. The collector's edition of the Oppo comes in a terabyte if you want to, I don't know, take 8K movies and store them forever. Plenty of storage for you to do that. So all the specs couldn't be any better. I mentioned it's the top Wi-Fi 7. It's got everything you could want. Now, cameras for me are obviously a major area when it comes to any review, and I am no different. I have been kind of impressed. The cameras is kind of a mixed bag for me. Now, while I do believe that the hardware of the cameras on the OnePlus is some of the best on any foldable, actually excluding the Huawei Mate X5, it is probably the best on any foldable. But where the OnePlus is let down is with software. Their post-processing just isn't up to par of, say, the Google Pixel Fold or the Honor Magic V2. And sadly, definitely not the Samsung Z Fold 5. I do believe that in some situations, even though the Z Fold 5 has inferior hardware, because of that software optimization and post-photo processing, you're actually going to get better results in the Z Fold with some photos, not all. Where the Z Fold definitely falls short and the Google Pixel Fold keeps up with is in the zoom. So you've got 5 times optical on the Pixel Fold, and on the OnePlus Open you've got 6 times hybrid or 3 times optical. Now that 6 times hybrid is actually lossless zoom. Really impressed. As you can see from the photos I'm popping up, photos on the OnePlus are certainly not bad at all. I just think they could be a bit better when it comes to, making them look a bit more Instagram post-like. And I don't always say that. I like natural looks, but sometimes it's just a bit too dull or grey or washed out, or the light's just too reflective in that lens. Now, from photos to the video captures 4K on all 5 cameras. Yes, there are 5 cameras ranging from 64 megapixel down to 20 megapixel. The key thing here is the weaker of the lenses, the 20 megapixel and the 32, are actually the selfie cameras. So all your rear cameras are at least 50 megapixels, or at least 48 megapixels, sorry, and they produce, great video content. I do think the video on the OnePlus is up there with what I believe the best video on any foldable device, and that's on the Google Pixel Fold. Now, you'll notice that I've been talking a lot about comparisons, and that was point 2 of the introduction of my video. You have to compare it to what's available on the market. If we are being strict, OnePlus's only competition is really the Samsung Z Fold and the Google Pixel Fold. But you know me, you certainly know my channel if you're watching this video. I review the best foldables from all over the world, not just released globally. So for me, the OnePlus fits right alongside the Honor Magic V2 and the Xiaomi Mix Fold 3 in terms of being the best overall foldable package available. The Google Pixel Fold, some of you may have noticed in my last video when I said what phone I actually use, the Google Pixel Fold is the one I actually prefer, but that's because of the front screen aspect ratio, not so much anything else. It just packs in everything I want in a foldable. There's nothing missing. So when we talk about things missing, like on the OnePlus Open, they've got 66 watt charging, a fantastic 4805 milliamp hour battery, but no wireless charging. The Pixel Fold doesn't charge as fast with a wire, but it does have some wireless charging, which is great to find yourself in a pinch. So do I think OnePlus will incorporate wireless charging in the next version? Absolutely, 100%. There's no reason why they couldn't. The phone is certainly thick enough. It's around about 11.9 to 12 millimeters thick folded. That's plenty of space to pack in a wireless charger. Bearing in mind, Xiaomi can do it in an under 11 millimeter device, and they can get 50 watt wireless charging. Now, I mentioned the 8 Gen 2 chip. I've mentioned the 1 Hz all the way up to 120 Hz display. I've also just mentioned the battery, and all those three factors combined make this one of the best, not just foldable, but one of the best phones, period, for battery life. Depending on which screen you use, if you're using the outer screen and minimal usage of the inner screen, you could probably push the OnePlus Open to 2 days. If you use the inner screen more, you're never going to kill it in a day unless you're intense gaming for around about 8 to 10 hours. Even playing Genshin Impact or Asphalt 9 or more intense games for a minimum of 7 hours, the battery is going to be absolutely fine. No heat issues, no thermal throttling, nothing that I've experienced. However, full disclosure here, I don't game. I have played Asphalt 9 purely as like a demo. I don't have time to do that, to be honest, folks. But in all the reviews and videos I've watched, nobody seems to have any heat issues, unlike on other devices such as the Tensor G2 chip included in here, which, doesn't like gaming too much. So the third point I mentioned, and it should be part of every review, is what value does it bring to you? My viewer, subscriber, a customer of one of these smartphone brands, what value is there? Well, with the OnePlus, quite a lot. If we compare it to the Pixel Fold and the Z Fold, brand new without any deals, it's £150 cheaper. That's without any deals at all. However, since the OnePlus's release, I've yet to see it without a deal. The constant ongoing deal seems to be, and it's Black Friday just now, so it's £250 off for those in the UK. That makes the phone £1,350, which is £400 cheaper than the Google Pixel Fold and the Samsung Z Fold 5. Now, what I'm about to say is going to sound a bit weird, but I use the Google Pixel Fold, but I believe the OnePlus Open, or the Oppo Find N3, is the best option and foldable for the masses. And the reason I say that is because it is a global ROM. You will get Android Auto. You don't have to do anything to remove bloatware. You'll get notifications. You've got that amazing outer screen, unlike the Samsung. You've got great camera setup, and the processing can always be updated through software patches. I genuinely do think it's a fantastic device, and it should be considered by most. Then you've got my viewers. You watching this video to this point. It sits alongside the Honor V2. It sits alongside the Xiaomi Mix Fold 3. The more I use Oppo or the OnePlus, I don't see faults. I just personally sometimes like to play around with my foldable. I like that I have to delete bloatware and install an EPK and do that stuff every now and then. Convenience wise, yes, as I say, I've got the Pixel Fold. But the hardware coming from China, for example, the new Vivo X Fold 3 that will be out in a few months, Next year's Xiaomi Mix Fold 4. The Huawei Mate X5, hardware-wise, just will not be beat by anything that is released globally. So, if you are considering buying the OnePlus Open because you think it's the best hardware and the best fold available in the world, then hold on, look at my other reviews. If you're considering the OnePlus Open because you want the convenience, the great hardware and software and all that stuff, then by all means go for it. But there's always choice. And if we think back to about 4 years ago, there was no choice. You could have got the brand new Samsung Z Fold 1 and the screen would have cracked on you. And now our screen was about that big. So yeah, we've come a long way, baby, as Fatboy Slim would say. And I'm all for it. Reviewing this device has been an absolute pleasure. I mentioned as well the stylus support. The OnePlus just packs in everything. That stylus support on both screens, unlike most other foldables. It's got everything you could want from a phone at, in my opinion, a very reasonable price. When you consider the OnePlus Open comes with half a terabyte of storage, and with the Black Friday deal, it's £1,350, that makes it cheaper for the half a terabyte of the S23 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So, that's been my review of the OnePlus Open / Oppo Find N3. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Now, as far as next videos, coming for me, I will have a review of the Xiaomi 14 Pro, which, again, another positive device. I also have the Motorola Razr 40 Ultra. I bought in a Black Friday deal on a whim. And do you know what? Like my flip experiences so far haven't always been great. But it's a sweet little phone, I'm not going to lie. Motorola are, yeah, they're doing all right. So, until those videos, thanks very much for watching.